One second.
Okay.
Yes, okay, it started. Well, nice that you're here. I'm gonna ask you some questions about the qualitative
Okay.
research design. First, can you briefly, really briefly, describe your thesis topic?
So my thesis topic is interorganizational collaboration for technology development, and I am especially looking at open innovation in the public transport sector, with a special
Okay.
eye for cross-border public transport. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And what is your study design? Like, do you do qualitative,
I am
quantitative,
doing
and
qualitative research, and
yeah,
I plan to do two things.
yeah,
First, find good case studies that I can look at, like already existing projects or those projects that are being planned at the moment, and
yeah,
find interviewees that I can interview within the scope of those projects, ideally, of course. These are usually very large projects, so lots of stakeholders. So I will try to focus on like 5 to 10, no, 10 to 15 interviewees. Sorry. Yeah.
10 to 15. Okay, and why did you choose 10 to 15?
Honestly, I was talking to my coach and we established that that's a good number for like have a diverse view on topics. So yeah, that's why.
All right, all right. Are there any specific tools, platform, or processes you are using to manage your interviews?
Yes. So I plan to do semi-structured interviews, which essentially
Yeah,
means that the first, I don't know, 5 to 10 questions are going to be the same for everyone, rather 5 than 10, because we don't want like very long interviews. And then kind of let the interview drive itself and ask specifics from the interviewees
yeah,
regarding their expertise of their projects. I'm gonna record them, of course, and try to um, somehow decode the answers that they gave to the same questions, and try also to incorporate their answers to like unique questions.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
or
right,
topics that come up with them. Yeah.
and more on the practical aspect. How are you planning on? Do you use like any tools to like where you gonna list your interview questions and the transcriptions and stuff, or do you just use it on like Google Docs?
I was planning on using Google Docs or something like that,
Yeah,
but I since I just starting like my interview soon, I haven't established that like for a final
yeah.
deal.
And
At
have
this
you
point, I'm thinking of yeah, Word document and writing the
worked? Okay. All
answers.
right. All right. And for like, have you encountered any issues in like getting the interviews, how you structure the interview questions? Like, what were your main
Yes,
concerns?
yes. So I listed many questions and realized that okay, they are going to be like short interviews, like not like long ones. So I really have
Yeah,
to focus and I really have to limit the questions and find those questions that can be used for like 10 different people. So I cannot
yeah,
ask like very specifics to those projects that they are doing, like some of them are doing, because not all of them are doing that. So that can be
yeah,
like the less structured part of
yeah,
the interviews. But for the main part, I really want to focus on open innovation and those frameworks and tools and practices that they are actually using. Yeah.
yeah. So it was like difficult to create the questions,
Yes,
an
yes,
adequate
yes.
question list that would be relevant for each and every single one of them, so you
Yes.
can use it for your analysis.
Yes, I
All
still
right.
struggle with that because I haven't found like all of my interviewees, but you got to start at some
Yeah,
point. So,
yeah,
yeah,
and yeah. Last questions about the interviews.
yeah.
How did you find in like how did you find and decide who you are gonna interview?
So I wanna, find the case studies that I can focus on,
Yeah.
and from those case studies, those projects, I'm gonna interview those who participated
Oh
in
yeah.
those projects. Yeah, ideally, I have some people in my mind, but not all of them are responding. So I might implement some different methodology to find these
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Let's see my question list. Right. Yeah. What was your main difficulty in gaining access to the right people for interviewing? So yeah, it's a like,
But
how
first,
did you try?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
but first, kind of finding them, like who
Yeah.
are those who are relevant in those questions, in connection with open innovation. So like who
Yeah.
are managing like external aspects of those projects, and second, who responds and who can I reach out to other than
Yeah.
like cold messaging on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be difficult, right? I did
Yeah.
try to do the same thing sometimes, but now I mostly try to do it from the company itself, and
Hmm.
people are more willing to respond. Um.
Hmm.
Okay. Last question, then we
Yeah.
will be done. Oh, sorry, no, two more.
Okay.
Reflection on the missed session. So the last session we had like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Was your takeaway from the session on the methodology of data collection, qualitative session? Was there anything that was new for you? What you like learned?
Um, Good question, because it was some time ago, but
Yeah, yeah,
I
sorry.
tried to refresh my memories. So my main takeaway was probably that we had like a group discussion, like everyone was discussing everything.
Yeah,
So some fellow students said that they try to reach out to people like those who went to Erasmus or those who have any connections to the university or any previous job that you have done. So like it's a good way to start your conversation with them. Like, hey, I also went to Erasmus. I'm writing my
yeah,
thesis on this topic. I find your expertise like very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, so finding the, I don't know, the common ground with those people that you are interviewing, like
yeah,
um, increasing your likelihood of getting an answer, maybe
yeah.
even from a
So
cold LinkedIn message.
like tips on how to basically
Yeah,
connect to
how
the
to
right
approach
people.
people and who to approach, like who to
Yeah.
search for when you start searching for these people. Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. Last question.
Yeah.
Based on this whole experience so far, would you have done like anything differently in designing your qualitative design, like qualitative methodology?
Yes. So I tried to put together the questionnaire before I had the people. I
Yeah.
would probably do it in another way. Like, of course, an outline of the questionnaire would be nice.
Yeah.
But when you have the people and when actually starting, I think that's the time to put together the questionnaire, like the final
Yeah.
one for the semi-structured interviews, because you want to ask like the same questions from most of the people. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, create the questionnaire after you've already found your list of
Yes. Yes.
interviews.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can
So it
tailor it
suits
to
them the
their
best.
specific industries. All
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
I think then we are done. I have all the questions. I have everything I need. So thank
Perfect.
you. So I will stop recording now.
Yeah.
Let's go do this. More and stop recording. Stop. 1 second. All right, the recording has started. Well, thank you for joining today and helping me out with this project. This assignment. Uh,
Mhm.
First, could you provide a brief explanation of the focus of your thesis?
My thesis is focused on researching what strategies hydrogen production companies can apply to enhance collaboration and innovation within their ecosystem. And this is focused on large hydrogen companies.
Large hydrogen companies. Okay. And what type of study design are you doing to conduct this research?
Currently, I'm doing a qualitative study where I'm using semi-structured interviews to collect my data. And afterwards, I'm going to analyze these with case comparison. Yeah, so that.
Case comparison. So you're just interviewing a certain amount of people, and then you're going to compare their answers to find your result.
Yes,
It's for
that's what I'm
clarification.
going to do.
Okay. And why did you decide this interview method, like the semi-structured and the like that you are doing in the case design?
Well, first off, I chose the semi-structured interviews because they give a more thorough insight into the information I'm how do you say it? I'm gathering. It leaves room for side questions besides the structured open questions to dive deep into other components that come up into the interview itself.
Thank you.
And the case study, by the way, is because I want to compare those different cases of different companies, external views from from consultancy agencies and other groups that are relevant for my study, and to make it more generalizable. So that's the reason for that.
All right. How many people are you planning to interview, and why did you choose that number?
I have chosen 12. The specific reason for 12 is because my tutor of my thesis said that 12 were necessary for her. So it was mandatory. And that's kind of the only reason I
Oh yeah,
chose
that's
12
fair.
interviews.
Yeah. And then something more about the planning. Are you currently using any tools to organize and manage your interviews?
I haven't really started with it yet, but I am going to. I have a app for recording the interviews themselves, and I can also use the app to transcribe it into text. I
Okay.
will have to adapt it based on the recording itself, but that's what I'm going to use.
And what's this app called?
I think it's just a record app. I have to
Record.
look it up, but I
Okay,
am going
and
to look further into other apps that
yeah,
can transcribe the interviews well or better.
yeah, because I had some questions like about how to
Mhm.
organize. You're gonna have 12, 30-minute long interviews. Like,
1 hour,
did you
1 hour
plan or
plus.
1 hour plus?
Mhm.
I hope not for me. But,
I hope. Yeah.
so you're not planning on to use any tool like on Excel or Google Docs where you're gonna write out all the questions and then have to automatically put all the answers of each person in it, you know?
I am going to. I think I'm first going to transcribe it, and afterwards, like you said, something like Excel will be suitable
Yeah.
for ordering the data into different
Yeah.
groups. So first off, I can use the main questions I asked with
Yeah.
other questions below, but I will also use it to organize it in different areas of areas of my study. For example, a group for questions about the ecosystem, about the current state or the future perspective, or just a part about strategies. And Excel is probably going to be the app that I'm going to use the tool.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Then, have you faced any challenges while preparing or structuring your interview questionnaire?
I have. For example, the first interview, I noticed that I was missing some important questions during the conversation and afterwards as well. So I had to adapt my questionnaire list based on the first interview and even a bit on the second. And
Oh, so you
that
have
was
had
hard.
interviews already?
Yes, I've had 2 interviews, I think.
Okay.
So not that many, but 2. But
Okay.
it's
Sorry, I'm writing it down. So
no problem. The trouble is finding new information that points you into another direction that you didn't think of before, and then you have to apply it for the next interviews, but you can't apply it to the ones you already had.
oh yeah, so you're missing that information
I'm missing
for
some
like your
information.
analysis.
Mhm.
Okay, so how would you to go into the next section, I guess, what would you change in the beginning so you would have prevented this? You know, like how
Um,
would you have done it differently, basically, if you could start again?
well, it's hard
Designing
because
the methodology.
um, that's pretty hard to say because this isn't something you can predict upfront. Or you know, some things might change and you get new information, but upfront you can't really know what it's going to be. I might think longer about the questions or talk more about it with my coach um, to make sure I'm asking the right ones. And furthermore, might add that after the interviews, I would ask extra questions. So if necessary, I will mail them or whatever to get that missing information.
All right, thank you. Then we'll search the questions. um, oh yeah, some more on like the interviews. Did you
Yeah.
struggle with finding or like gaining access to the right people to interview, and how did you approach this?
Um, yes, so I approached it by looking at connections.
Yeah,
So via, and it's hard because people are, for example, happy to help you, but sometimes they can't. One person told me he didn't have the time to help me, although he was glad to
yeah,
do so. So that's hard. So then you have to look further.
yeah,
And I know I'm not going to have all the connections I need. So then I think I have to call people, email them, message them on LinkedIn.
yeah,
That's something for a bit later on.
yeah.
And
So
during the interviews, still, it was hard to get the right information sometimes because not everyone possesses all the information that you want. For example, I was interviewing one person of certain company that didn't know the answers on certain strategic questions.
oh yeah,
And then you have to cope with it. You can't change it.
yeah,
So yeah,
of course. And also like how did you decide these were the people you should interview? Like what was your
up front, I
strategy?
made different groups. So I made different companies or participants that I was interested in. For me, I made 4. And within those groups, I would research participants that were relevant. So I set up a list of what is it? Mandates, and you can say mandates that they all had to fulfill.
Okay,
And then I researched those participants and reached out.
all right, thank you. And then um, oh yeah, and then the last question, basically, because I
Mhm.
already asked the real last question about like looking back, how would you do it differently? The last question today will be about the session, the qualitative session.
Mhm.
After you send in your proposal, what were your key takeaways regarding all of this from the session?
Ooh. Um, I think my key takeaways were how to approach different companies or people participants.
Yeah,
So, like I said, you can use connections, but otherwise call them, message them on LinkedIn, and don't just send an email. That's never going to work, or often
yeah.
it won't work. And
So
furthermore, I think how to behave in certain circumstances while doing the interview. So if somebody is a bit reluctant to answer or just talks too much, yeah, I think that's it. Those were the
Okay.
most important key takeaways.
Yeah. That's it. So thank you for the takeaways.
Mhm.
Yeah, important that I know this now as well. So thank you. I'm gonna stop
No
the
problem.
recording now.
Okay.
So one sec. Starting. All right. Okay. Yeah, recording has started. Well, hello, Ron. Nice
Hey, Art.
for you to join us. I'll just start with the questions. First, can you briefly describe the main focus of your thesis,
Yes,
like the
of course.
topic?
My thesis is basically how different age groups perform
Yeah.
creatively while they're working from home. So their performance while
Performance
working from home, basically.
at home. Okay. Okay. And what is your like methodology to basically, yeah, study
Yeah.
this? What's your approach?
So I'm using quantitative, and to
Yeah.
do that, I divide my participants into two groups. So we've got the older age group and then the
Yeah.
younger age group, and I'm going to have each age group do like an AUT test. I don't know if you're aware of that test.
No.
It's like an experiment basically that gives you an object, and then you have to find as many alternative uses as possible with that
Yeah.
object. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we've done it before, even in class, actually.
Yeah. I know which one you mean. Like the like to create an alien and stuff,
Yeah,
right? And then how weird it is and
similar to
stuff.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and
So
basically I'll be comparing the answers of every group and seeing which group has the best creative output, basically.
okay. And like, why did you choose this method? Is it from like previous literature or how?
Yeah, I checked that one of the best ways to test creativity and also like a short time frame, because we don't have a long study to do. We only have a few months. So one of
Yeah.
the best ways to test creativity and also do it like online is actually AUT. And it's also mentioned in quite a bit of literature as well. And my thesis
Yeah.
coach also said it was a good idea to use.
Okay. Literature. Yeah, I'm writing it down a bit as well. So
No worries.
then like for sample size and the groups, first of all, do you have your groups already, and how are you planning to? What's your sample size, and how are you trying to get them?
Yeah, so I'm sending out the survey this week. So hopefully
Yeah.
by the end of this week or next week, I will have like all of my participants.
Yeah.
But I'm aiming for around 120 participants. And
120.
I'm doing it through like connections, and I have friends that work at companies, so I'm sending it to them and they're sending it to their companies. So it's mostly like convenient sampling, basically. That's how I'm
Yeah.
doing
Convenience
my
sampling.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And why did you choose this method?
I think for what I was looking at, it was the easiest thing to do, to be honest, and for the time
Yeah.
frame that I have, because
Yeah,
it's a
of
pretty
course.
broad topic. Like, there's not a very necessary requirement. You basically have to be just working from home. So
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
yeah.
And just this is not for the questions, but just a curiosity. Like, how do you decide which age group they're in? Because you only do two age groups.
Yeah.
Like, is it like below 40 and below above, or
You actually,
like?
yeah, you found the exact age. I
Okay.
I actually looked at literature that talked about like the different ages in the workforce, and
Yeah.
there was like a major paper that said that they divided the workforce into below 40 and above 40. So that's how I
Okay.
used it basically.
Oh, so you used it from previous literature,
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
But you're not like trying to just for curiosity, like not like do 50, 60, 40, 50, 30,
No,
20.
no. No, it's
No.
40 and
Okay.
above and 40 and below, basically.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Then are you gonna use any tools to like map and organize your survey, your experiments, your analysis?
So I'm using Qualtrics for the survey, the experiment part. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. Qualtrics?
And Qualtrics, it's Qualtrics.
Oh, Qual. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then for my data analysis, I'm either going to use SPSS or Stata. That's
yeah.
I'm in
Yeah,
between
the-
those two, to be honest.
Yeah, just whichever you prefer at the time when you start.
Exactly. Whichever is
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to be the most convenient, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. Take it easy. And what are your main challenges so far with like this creating your methodology, choosing the sample size, your
Yeah, what you
structure.
said, choosing the sample size is a little bit, it's
Yeah.
a harder process, because I know that it's a very large pool of people it's a very large population. So it's hard to find a big enough sample size to,
Yeah.
to work for that population. And also the other harder thing is also finding people for the survey. That's also something
Yeah.
I struggle, especially the above age 40 age group. That's where I
Yeah.
find it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, and what is your current strategy to stop this limitation, or how do you call it, challenge,
Yeah,
to address
so
this?
I'm talking with as many people as I know that are like work in industries that they also work from home, and I'm asking them to send it out as well to their people. And then my final idea, if this doesn't give me enough people, is going to one of those websites where you can pay a little bit
Oh,
of
yeah.
money and get respondents for your survey. So that's
Yeah.
my final option.
Like your last
My
ditch
last
effort,
resort.
if it doesn't. Yeah, last resort. Okay.
Exactly.
Then, well, almost done, but like the last session, yeah, well, the session on like the 24th of last month, I guess. What was the what were like the main takeaways from that session? Like, what did
So
you
it
learn?
was a session. Are you talking about I'm talking about the quantitative one. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
the quantitative, yeah.
the quantitative one.
The
was
one I missed.
Oh, the one you mean. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
It was basically that a good way to, because we also talked quite a bit about our limitations and
yeah.
like the issues that we had. That was like the main thing about the session and how to solve them. So the main thing was basically, if we talk with other peers that are doing similar stuff, that's like one of the main ways to solve your problems.
Yeah.
And that's actually very true, because if you talk with one or two people that are in a similar field as yours, you actually find almost all the answers you need for.
Yeah.
And then looking into literature, that's also a very important thing. If you actually read the literature and see how they conducted the studies, that gives you a lot of answers that you're looking for.
So like not reading the summary from
Not just the
ChatGPT.
abstract, yeah, like reading into like their methodology and stuff like that actually can help you also like structure your study as well.
All right, thanks. Well, that's good to know. And then lastly, from this whole process of developing your proposal, what you've done now, what would you have changed if you would start again?
That's a good question, actually. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I think I would figure out earlier in the process exactly how I want my study to be made. So then I don't have to be now in April, for example, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. So I would have a more concrete idea on exactly how I would conduct my study and how to find the respondents and even start finding them earlier. That would be what I would change.
Yeah, because we have like 2.5 more months.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, getting 120 respondents in 2.5 months, I think you will be fine, right?
It's doable, definitely.
And the analysis, using SPSS, Stata, you'll be fine.
It's easy, yeah. It's if you sit on it for a week with the data, you can get all the analysis you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes the interview. So I'm gonna stop the recording. 1 second. And recording stopped. Yes.